They seek about Day of the Dead. Okay. Ah, let's begin.
No, the atmosphere was not sad. The atmosphere was like a party. The atmosphere was very happy. Was the atmosphere sad
No,
or happy?
the atmosphere is happy
The atmosphere
because the
was
atmosphere
happy.
is like a party.
The atmosphere was like a party. What was like a party?
The atmosphere.
The atmosphere in the cemetery was like a party. Where was the atmosphere like a party?
In the cemetery.
In the cemetery, right? The cemetery. The atmosphere was like a party in the cemetery. Was the atmosphere like a party at my house?
No, the atmosphere like a
No,
party in
not
the
at my house.
cemetery.
The atmosphere was like a party in the cemetery. The atmosphere was not like a party in my house. So the atmosphere was like a party. There were people everywhere.
There.
Families were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Where were the families sitting?
They sitting around the graves.
Around the graves. Right? They were sitting around the graves. Who was sitting around the graves?
Families.
The families, right? The families were sitting around the graves. Were they sitting around the trees?
No, they were sitting around the graves.
Trees. They were sitting around the graves. So, where were they sitting?
They're sitting on the graves.
Around the graves.
Around the graves.
Families were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors?
Yes.
Yes. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Were they sitting around the graves of their friends?
No, they're sitting around the graves of the dead ancestors.
Not really. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Who was sitting around the graves?
The families.
That's right. Families were sitting around the graves. Whose graves were they sitting around?
The dead ancestors.
Whose graves were they sitting around? Yes, their dead ancestors. Their ancestors. Their ancestors' graves. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors or the graves of their
They were
friends?
sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors.
Right. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. They cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers. Okay. Who cleaned the graves?
The families.
That's right, the families. What did they add?
They add flowers.
They added fresh flowers. Did they add food?
No, they add They add fresh
No, they didn't
flowers.
add food. Did they add money?
No, they add
No,
fresh
they didn't
flowers.
add money. They added fresh flowers. What did they clean?
They clean the graves.
They cleaned the graves. Whose graves did they clean?
The dead ancestors.
Their ancestors, right? They cleaned their ancestors' graves. Where did they add flowers?
They add flower on the graves.
They added flowers to the graves. That's right. They cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers.